After 2 defeats in charge, Hibernian's new manager makes his home debut, and it couldn't be much tougher. Can Colin Calderwood redress the balance of power in Edinburgh?
It's Hibs against Hearts for Edinburgh Pride. The driver of Derby Day in Edinburgh! Ryden, it's in. Hibs are back in the game. And it's been put in. Gary Glenn doubles Hearts lead.
Hibs haven't beaten Hearts for 18 months now. Will that change at Easter Road Stadium today? It's live in Sky Sports High Definition. Well, they've won just one of the last 7 Edinburgh derbies at home, but of even greater concern, Hibs are now just 1 place above bottom of the table. Now, I'm joined today by a man who is the son of a Leith Docker. And until a month ago, John Hughes was manager of Hibernian. John, you played, skipper at Hibs, and were the manager, of course, until recently. Do you really miss the involvement on days like today?
Yeah, it's special. And don't tell any sets of supporters. You know, it's not as big as the old firm. You know, it means everything to them. They want the bragging rights, they want to have the smile on their face about the city. And, you know, I just feel today for Colin Calderwood, you know, in a derby match, first derby match, his first home game, if he could get that win, you know, that would get the supporters right behind him.
Now, you're getting a lot of time off at the moment, which allows you to go to games. What did you make of that incredible game at Celtic Park yesterday, where Aberdeen suffered a 9-0 defeat, a record defeat for them?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And to be fair, I felt the game plan was working great for them. And this was a big turning point, you know, penalty. And it being Paul Hartley, their captain, he's a big player for Aberdeen. And when you've got the likes of Stokes and Hooper in their team, they're going to take full advantage, as we see, you know, and 2 great goal scorers.
Anthony Stokes got a hat-trick, of course. You brought him to Scotland with Falkirk and then Hibernian. Is this his level? Yes,
certainly. He'll score goals in any company. And, you know, just a little bit surprised there with the fourth penalty. He gave it away to Paddy McCourt. No link Stokes, he wants to score goals. But, you know, I was watching him very close yesterday. His movement was great. And he had a lot to do in terms of the supply for 1 or 2 of the other goals. So, you know, he seems to be comfortable through in Parkhead. You know, I have to say this, and the Hibs supporters might not like this, but even part of the negotiations, bring him up from Sunderland, you know, give him this stage to go and play football, and hopefully, you know, he was hoping if he could come here, score goals, then that Celtic move might come up for him, and it certainly did.
A record defeat for Aberdeen. Is it inevitable that Mark McGee's job will be in jeopardy?
Well, I disagree with that, you know, because I went there as a Falkirk manager and I got turned over 8-0. And it was work in progress, and I had a board of directors that knew that. 2 years later, we went back to Parkhead, played them in the same competition, and we took their scalp in injury time, you know, and it's a work in progress for Mark McGee. He's producing and working with a lot of talented young footballers, and in Willie Muller they've got a real football man that's in charge here that knows how difficult it is in the game today, and I'm quite sure that he's got his backing.
Well, Mark McGee will certainly have to use all his experience now. Now, this is how the SPL table stands. Rangers remain top after today's 3-1 victory over St Mirren in Paisley. That one's just finished. Hearts are in the top half and 6 points better off than Hibs. Now, a year ago, Hibernian were up in 3rd, 2 points behind the leaders. Now, they're at the wrong end of the table with just 2 wins from 10 games. Well, let's hear from today's managers. First of all, the man making his debut in this fixture is the Hibernian boss, Colin Calderwood.
Colin, how much pressure do you feel, bearing in mind you're trying to get your first home win, and of course it's the Edinburgh Derby?
Absolutely, no more than normal Saturday or weekend, you know, it's a Sunday game, but it's a normal routine for a game. You have that tension, nervousness in your body, but that's really the anticipation of what should be a super game.
What's the thinking behind your team selection and the formation?
Well, I thought we did okay to a point last week, and I think we've got to bed down some sort of consistency. So we go almost the same way, 1 or 2 slight changes, but I think they afforded themselves another go at it with their performance last week.
You mentioned in your programme notes you're looking for the team to be stronger. Do you see signs of that?
Well, you see it during the week on occasions, but the real test and the true test is on a match day. And terrific that it's a derby game and my first home game, first experience of Easter Road as manager of Hibernian, and it's really whetted the appetite. So what I look for in my players is a passion, and the passion overtakes the jersey and involves the crowd, but we keep really concentrated and really controlled.
Jim, this is your 21st Edinburgh derby in charge of Hearts. What kind of occasion is it? What can we expect from this big match?
Like any other game, I think it'll be frantic, very competitive, great atmosphere. When these games come around, the 21 games are nothing to do with it. It'll all be about on the day, and we're all looking forward to it. It's Colin Calderwood's first game, and they come down here, they're needing to get some points on the board, so they'll be well up for it, and so will we, because we were a bit disappointed with our performance last week, and we've got a great chance to put it right today.
What's the thinking behind your team selection today?
Well, we've had them watch. Colin, I think, has come out and said it will be a little bit tighter, maybe compared to John's time, and they'll, obviously they'll still have people who can attack you, but we've set the team up today to try and nullify that a little bit, but most importantly give ourselves an attacking option to get at Hibs and try and create some chances and score.
You're an experienced man, you've got a good record in Edinburgh derby. What do you say to the players just to try and calm the nerves?
If I've got to say anything to the players regardless, and I'm sure Colin's the same, if we've got to say anything in there regards motivating the players, they shouldn't be playing.
Rudy Scatchell returns to Easter Road today. Hibs top goal scorer Derek Riordan, so often the hammer of the Hearts. 5 players in the Hibs side are making their derby debuts today. Stephen Elliott makes his first ever start for Hearts. See how they all get on. The Capital Clash is next. Sunshine on Leith. Well, the fans are really pouring in now. That's the new East Stand here, which means it's going to be the biggest crowd potentially for an Edinburgh derby since 1994. Remember Wayne Foster? Hearts fans certainly do. The city's normally split in two by the old Castle Rock. Today it's football that divides it. Hibernian against the heart of Midlothian. Live in Sky Sports High Definition. There's a former Hearts player and former Hearts manager, Craig Levine, the Scotland national team coach here, along with another interested spectator, the Celtic manager, Neil Lennon. Well, at half-time we'll hear the thoughts from the former Hibernian manager, John Hughes. Commentary now from his former Hibs and former Celtic teammate, Andy Walker, and experienced Derby Day campaigner, and Ian Crocker.
Thank you, David. As Edinburgh's tourists flock to the Royal Mile, the locals are in Leith for the first clash this season between these capital rivals. From the Leith part of the city, Hibernian. From the Gorgie part of the city, Hearts. 3.5 miles between the two grounds, geographically close but emotionally distant. Hibs have slumped to second bottom in the table. Hearts are 6th, having missed the chance to go 3rd last week when they flopped against Kilmarnock. So both teams need a lift, and what a lift they would get by winning today. Hibs are keeping Hearts waiting. Hibs failed to win an Edinburgh derby last season, and that still hurts, it still rankles. That should stick and be used today. You use anything you can on Derby Day. Hearts rule in Edinburgh just now, but the balance of power can soon shift as many latecomers arrive to swell Easter Road, which with its new stand has a capacity of over 20,000 now. It could be the biggest derby crowd here for years. Was it really a decade ago that Hibs beat Hearts 6-2 here in the best modern era Edinburgh derby? Best one for Hibs fans, that is. What's in store today? Whatever the derby, whatever the city, it matters, it counts. Hibs and Hearts go back a long way, a very long way. They first met 133 years ago. This is a rivalry older than the Old Firm. Sunshine on Leith indeed, but the clouds could soon be gathering for one of these sides.